Jello. Gotta eat some Jello.
All right, everybody. We are back for another episode of
There's
Indie
always
Film
room for
Cafe.
Jello.
What?
I said there's always room for Jello.
Okay. We're back here for another episode of Indie Film Cafe. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I'm here with...
Paul A. Presenza, otherwise known as the Moo Cow Moo.
And...
Joe.
Jesus, you got a new name every day, dude.
I just...
You gotta settle on one. You gotta
Joey,
find
Joey,
one.
Joe,
Take some
Jabula.
time and just, if you have to, chat GPT it. Just say, what are
You
some
could be
cool
just
names?
Joe. I mean, we'd have a...
No, I think even Joe Lynn tried to do just Joe.
Okay.
This is getting...
Yeah, but she's just Joe, J-O.
She should be Joe Lynn.
But maybe my little thing will be that I have a different name each time.
I don't want to hear about your little thing.
All right, anyway.
One, you won't. And two, well, I'm not going to go there.
We are gathered here today...
Being silly.
to be silly and talk about a movie that's not actually silly at all. It's kind of serious, but it's it stars a guy who's very silly, and it's a movie that last year we did another movie by the same director that I picked, and it was us three doing it. So I figured, why not do it again? If we had Joe here, we would do it once more, and we would do a little movie called Running Time, directed by Josh Becker and starring Bruce Campbell.
Oh, okay.
Bruce Campbell's always good.
And it's got one little quirk to it. This all was shot in one continuous take.
Also, it's one of those.
Yeah. It's like a rope, from Alfred Hitchcock.
Or
2017.
2017.
Or
yeah.
1917. This was actually made before 1917, so they stole it from this movie.
So is it? I guess we'll find out. But
People have been trying to do that for a while.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of movies that they do, like what was that Nick of Time with Johnny Depp, and there's a number of movies that take place in a finite time frame. And
this all takes place in 70 minutes.
Is it 70 continuous, or is there like camera angle changes, or do I just need to wait and find out?
You gotta wait to find out. I'm not gonna tell you anything. I'm not gonna spoil this movie, but we will spoil it when we come back after we listen to some
mood music. Are there any puppets?
Alright, and we are back. Alright, everybody, we're here to talk about Running Time. A movie that, Paul, have you ever heard of this movie?
Mm-mm. Nope.
And Joe, I'm pretty sure you never heard of it.
Well, this will be one that I would have probably heard of, but possibly, but no. No, just because Bruce Campbell, stuff like that. So.
Yeah, you're just a fan of Bruce Campbell, but
Give me some sugar, baby.
You didn't use any of his Bruce Campbell groovy Bruce kind of stuff.
But he still had his presence, his way. He still comes across.
And like I said, this is one of those movies that you get to see him as an actor and not as a clown or a two-dimensional character.
Right.
He actually is playing a character, and he does it very, very well.
He's a little sarcastic, which is his general go-to thing, is sarcastic.
Well, consider what he came from in this, his character, what he came from and what he faced. Some of it self-inflicted, but yeah. He's going to have, yeah.
So there is actually, interestingly enough, if you don't want to just buy the movie or whatever and you want to look into it, if you buy the book Rushes by Josh Becker, it is his essays. And one of the essays is the making of Running Time. He does the making of Lunatic's a Love Story, Thou Shalt Not Kill Except, If I Had a Hammer, which is one of his movies. Also a really good movie. It's just not available
What's
anywhere.
he been doing lately? What's the last thing he's done?
Last movie he did was a Western called Warpath that he did with Tom Matthews. So,
hey, Tom.
What?
Tom.
Tom.
Friday 13th, yeah.
Yeah, for Friday the 13th, Tom Matthews. So they worked on the Western together. But he had also done a movie called Noon...
Morning, Noon, and Night.
Morning, Noon, and Night, yes.
That's what I was looking up to see what else. I mean, I'm definitely intrigued to see more of his stuff.
Yeah, so us three saw Thou Shalt Not Kill Except, which is his first directorial debut.
Which I had seen.
Feature.
I knew that one.
Yeah, and that's more classic, campy, silly Bruce Campbell. And Paul and I had reviewed with Taylor Kilgore Lunatic's a Love Story, which was really good as
Which I
well.
also knew and also had seen, and that was good.
Yeah, got Deborah Foreman and
Love me some Deborah Foreman.
and Ted Raimi is the star of that one, so it's amazing. And then they also did what is it? He had done Alien Apocalypse. He had done a movie called If I Had a Hammer, which was a folk singing musical kind of thing. Now it's not your typical musical where people just burst out in song. They go to like clubs or whatever and people play folk music and stuff
That
like
was
that.
his film after this one.
Yeah, that was the film after this one. Then he did Alien Apocalypse, which was I like it because it's campy and silly and stupid, but it's sci-fi. It's made for sci-fi kind of thing. He also did a movie called Harpies, which he just directed and write, and that movie kind of tanked. So it didn't do very well.
Yeah,
on
that doesn't
sci-fi.
have a very good rating.
No, that one.
And who was the lead actress?
Of this one?
Yeah.
Well, that was I looked her up just to see because it wasn't the name that we saw on the credits. That was
Right.
the receptionist, Anita Barone.
Anita
and,
Barone.
And I'd
yeah.
never seen her before, but I was
Me
like,
either.
what else she been in? And I saw who she was married to. I was like, oh,
Who's she married to?
Matthew Glave.
Oh, I know Matthew
Huh.
Glave.
Yeah, from Wedding Singer, stuff like that.
Yeah, she's the lead singer. He's the villain, and what is it?
Glenn Guglia.
So
Glenn-
has she been in other stuff?
It had a few other credits for her.
She was in actually a pretty good amount, to be honest. She's been in a lot of TV, especially back in the '90s. It seems.
Because her face seemed somewhat familiar.
She was on your show Seinfeld.
Yeah,
She was
okay.
Gail Cunningham, who was in the episode The Shoes.
Okay.
Um,
I
so-
may have recognized her from that, but I know I recognized her.
Yeah, she'd been on that. She was on an episode of Empty Nest, an episode of the Larry Sanders Show, Friends.
Well, Friends and Seinfeld, yes. I mean, that's like
Well-
quintessential sitcom TV of the '90s.
And Paul has a whole thing about that.
Yeah, you're either a
that
Friends fan or a Seinfeld fan.
I'm both.
Generally don't. Well, that's because you're a freaking millennial. I'm talking about our generation when it came out. There was a divide.
I'm okay with Friends, but I'm not huge into it. But Seinfeld, I'm over the top for. That's that's
Seinfeld was
brilliant.
always.
Now my
really
wife
about-
though, she actually really digs both of them though. So she must be an aberration to that.
Yeah, that's rare.
She's not a millennial though.
Yeah, well, she loves both. I mean, she really got into Friends and stuff. But she watches Seinfeld with me all the time, and I mean, she could quote a lot of those.
Yeah, so she's been in a lot of stuff. She's still.
No soup for you.
She's been up.
Come back 1 year.
She's been working since 2023 still, so she's still out there acting. There might have been other stuff you've seen her in.
It's a very recognizable face.
Jeremy Roberts also has been in a lot of stuff. He was. I had seen him before too, not just. He was in the movie The Mask with Jim Carrey as one of the. I think he's one of the bad guys.
That's where you
in
would
that.
know him,
What?
Jim Carrey.
Paul hates Jim Carrey.
No.
Would never watch.
I
I
never
don't think he's
watched
ever
it.
even seen The Mask.
No, God no.
No.
All I had to do was see the commercials and said, yeah, pass. Hard
No,
pass.
it's a human cartoon.
Hard
That's
pass.
the whole point. He was also in Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country, or whatever. And there's whatever that was.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't remember.
Herbie Fully Loaded,
I wouldn't go near that.
Veronica Mars.
The Mexican.
No, I
No.
like Veronica Mars.
Yeah, he was on a few episodes of that, I think. So, anyway,
TV show The Pretender and Profiler.
there you go. And then
What about Buzz?
Buzz was a big guy in that, but if you see his look at his profile picture there, he's thinned out a little bit.
Good for him.
I am not getting good reception here.
So now he's Little Buzz.
He's still acting now. He's on Abbott Elementary. I mean, for 57 episodes, so he's obviously a main character on that. And then he did TV show Snowpiercer. So he's been
Oh, he was on Snowpiercer.
the TV series.
Oh, okay.
So Curb
So-
Your Enthusiasm again, another one.
Here's a question for you. Would you be interested in Josh Becker writing a sequel where you pick up with those characters, the three of them, they meet up 20 years later to do another heist because they all need it.
When you say the three of them, who would you be saying?
Oh,
All
the
three
girl
of them.
too?
Yep, the girl too. And
So-
that's just it. He's like, it's got to be a package deal or else it's not going to happen.
So you're saying the two main guys and a girl, not the druggie that he beat up.
No.
Only if it's called Another Running Time.
They got to come up better name.
No,
In fact,
no.
Running Time itself, I'm not particularly.
Yeah, running
Well,
time, the title
Isn't-
itself.
that's not very
Because
good.
the reason I like that is because it reminds me of Another 48 Hours, and that is another.
I hated that title too.
See, for me, the title was kind of that part.
It's like
was-
Star Trek
was-
again.
It was a little generic, and I mean,
Yeah,
running
it's
time.
very generic.
I mean, that seemed like it could have been like. I mean, it came out about the same time as what Run Lola Run. So, but
Yeah.
the title. I mean, that's really one of the few things that I really had against it. Maybe it was like
Same here. But would you be interested in watching that? That's my question.
I mean, sure. I'd watch anything. I gotta see Warpath, and I gotta see Moody.
Especially if Josh Becker can get Bruce Campbell and the same three actors back.
I'd also like to see Morning, Noon, and Night because those two movies were sort of a labor of love for him because for a while he wasn't directing anything. After I think Harpies, he had tried to direct something else and it didn't happen, and then he directed, Morning, Noon, and Night because out of frustration of not having directed anything in a while. And that feeling of like wanting to go back out there and do something again.
Because, I have heard other writers and directors where they make a movie and it's done, and then 30 years later, it's like they still can't stop thinking about those characters and they want to do something else.
Yeah, but
with
then
them.
sometimes it's the studios just trying to hang on.
Well, yeah, that's different. It comes from that. I'm saying when it comes from the writer or the director, or sometimes the actor, I think that's different. It's not the studio trying to make a quick buck on nostalgia.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
because like Gremlins 3, I don't think that we need that necessarily. But I don't think anybody's gonna. The
Especially
fans are going to be upset.
considering that this was a small movie that didn't make a giant pile of cash.
Is
The next one wouldn't.
Is
as well.
this one that he really looks back on and talks about? Fondly?
Well, that's
I mean,
a question.
I'm not saying fondly. I mean, I'm sure he looks on it
Get him
fondly.
back
but,
on the show.
Is there?
Maybe.
I wonder what his take is on it because
Yeah, get him
obviously
on the show.
I'll try.
This was not a generic little film. I mean, this film required some good writing, some invested people in those roles, and some real planning. Because I mean, the camera shots and
I'm
doing
pretty
that.
sure they did a lot of rehearsal.
And they did a lot of at least he did a lot of research as far as noir and neo-noir films.
Well, I
'Cause
don't
there were
think
definitely
his
some-
research, I think, was just his knowledge of those films because I believe like
Well, there are certain shots in there that I know I have seen in other movies.
right. Are you saying like the turning around?
That's
and
one
the,
of them,
you
but
know?
not just in general, but in the tunnel, having it go around like that.
Yeah,
And,
they did that twice, which is actually kind of cool.
Yeah,
that
and
happened
there's
twice.
a few other shots there too. So, yeah, there's definitely some classic noir tropes in there that I really dug.
All right.
And doing those type of shots too, it showed because I mean it was when it was done too. It was done at the right time.
Right.
His character sort of at a serious crossroads for where he was going to.
And
go.
he's wounded and
Yeah,
struggling.
mentally not quite thinking straight. Probably being that he was just shot and he's been on the run. And
Little nitpicks, I mean, people don't recover that easily or quickly from a gunshot wound. Although they did allow him the space to act as though he was injured, which was nice. And when she was cleaning him up, it definitely hurt, and it's great because you generally don't see that in pictures. But yeah, gunshot wounds are pretty damn serious, even light ones. They're difficult. They're painful.
But dealing with the idea of it being straight running time, I mean, it allowed them that time to really, and then have them be able to, the girl and him be able to interact and stuff like that. So, so it was able them to go back into their history and stuff like that some more and revisit some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because the setup is that it's a heist film, but really, it's just a way to get those two characters back together and, finish off the stuff that they started but never got a chance to really do.
Yeah, they rekindle their flame.
It's not like Killer's Kiss, which really is a heist movie.
Right.
You know what I mean?
This is a romance heist movie,
Right.
which I thought was interesting to go with that. I mean, I had seen this when I bought it on DVD years ago, and then I bought it on Blu-ray, but never watched it yet because it just was sitting in my collection.
And that's kind of why I can see the next logical step for these characters who go at the end to that's what they would do, a true romance kind of thing where they are now doing heists together. You know what I mean?
Because that's the only thing he knows, kind of thing, right?
And it's really, what else does she know?
Maybe,
Lady of the Night.
or would they do the whole gimmick of like it being a one? Is it all in one shot thing again?
Oh, I personally would not. I mean, you've done it, so you don't have to do it again. But you might. I don't know. I mean,
if you did it, then it would just keep it the whole thing.
If it was me, I wouldn't. But then it's Josh Becker's thing, so it'd kind of be up to him.
Yeah, and also. But I don't know. Would Bruce want to come back? Would be the question of like
If Bruce really liked the character, I'm sure he would. It's just a question of would he really want to do that character again.
But anyway, I absolutely adored him in the movie. I thought he was great. Everybody did a great job for who they were.
Mm-hmm.
Even the junkie guy. He played it to a T. He was sort of perfect for that role. You knew once things were like his perfect plan for the heist didn't go so perfectly, that was all gonna happen.
You could foreshadow the shit hitting the fan.
Yeah, when they left him, they were like, well, he's going to watch the car or the van, whatever. It was like, he's going to screw that up somehow, or he's just going to leave.
Not going to end well.
And he did. He just left.
Yeah, he just left, and he was trying to see. He pawned the car off
for some drugs. Yeah, which I guess he was trying to get drugs. I guess from the very beginning. When he was telling them, "Hey, I need to do that." But let's start it off from the very beginning. Kind of talk about the story, and so we'll start off where basically it just starts with Bruce leaving the prison, but before then he gets to meet with the warden, and the warden gives him a cigar. The warden is played by
Art LaFleur.
Art LaFleur, who's been in a lot of movies.
He just recently.
Did he pass?
I think he just passed recently.
No.
And if I'm wrong on that, please forgive me. I thought it's like in the past year or two.
I hope not.
He did. He died in 2021.
Man.
That's a bummer.
We can recognize his square jaw everywhere.
Yeah, he was the babe in Sandlot. He was Captain Sears in Cobra. Remember Cobra?
Oh yeah. Who could forget Cobra?
He was in Field of Dreams, so he was in a bunch of baseball movies. The Blob, he played the pharmacist, so he's
instantly recognizable.
Yeah, he was
character actor.
Yeah, he was in a bunch of stuff, but he was wonderful as just very nice, warden who was hoping that Bruce Campbell was gonna.
Was he really nice? Because he was running a scam.
Yeah, he was doing a sort of typical thing where he's getting extra money by making the prison people do all this extra work for peanuts. So
that's kind of a novel writing way of setting that up. I mean, I've never heard that before. Somebody doing a scam in prison from warden about, instead of them making license plates, they're cleaning people's laundry.
Yeah.
For him on the cheap. It's a nice little.
So it's a crook running a bunch of crooks.
Yeah.
Yep. And they had the money in a safe or whatever.
That they only picked up every 3 months to make this job worthwhile or something, which was a little bit of a flaw.
Yeah,
right?
There's a few things. There's really no way you could convince me that they had to do it that one day, that they couldn't just wait until they got all the proper stuff lined up.
Well, I mean, their reasoning for that was that...
that was the dumbass's reasoning.
The dumbass's reasoning for it was that he didn't want... he wanted money now. He didn't want to get a real job and work or whatever he wanted.
Bad.
Wait till tomorrow or next week or something like that. Just have it. I mean, because losing a tire, having a druggie for one of the people. I mean, everything that they were running into was telling them, "Don't do it."
Going in a certain direction
that you knew was.
Sometimes you just can't fight fate. When momentum has got stuff going, you recognize it, and you're like, "Okay, time to step back."
Yeah, step back and reevaluate.
Yeah.
Now, if in the writing there was a specific reason why it had to be today, that would be different.
Yeah, I mean, they could have. It could have been I say a toss-away line, but it wouldn't be. It means something. Is if that they were getting ready. I don't know. They were going to change the way that they were securing the money. That they had to be that way, or something. I mean, they could.
Or they needed the money for a specific time that wasn't going to happen again.
Yeah. So I mean, that's just that's a little gripe that we have, but it was like
it's minor.
Yeah, and I mean, but be that as it may, they were placed under the time constraint that it had to happen at that moment. So
yeah.
So then they just played forward with that.
And then the only other issue I had is in the middle it did get very bickering-y. There was a little too much of that. I understand you have to fill the time, especially if you're doing it all in one take, but I don't know. I think there's also other ways you could explore the characters.
Uh-huh.
And even exploring some of the minor characters in the background without just doing the bickering.
I think what I was hoping they could have done there would have been, and I mentioned it while we were watching it, was instead of having them bicker, they could have panned out of the building and then shown the vehicle and maybe shown the druggie pacing back and forth, or something small, not showing that it was gone, because that would have took away the surprise. And all we knew was coming, that he was going to be gone. But they could have done something different, because that bickering session, although it was fun to a point, but then it got a little labored.
And it felt because they made the time being like 18 minutes, so you had to watch 18 minutes of these guys talking for too long, and so. Well, I mean, I get it, because you got to like fill all the time in the movie,
because
right?
of the constraints of the real time.
But you can do other things with that, especially because you can tell there are times when, as a director, he is leaving doors and windows and things open that normally would not be there just for us, so that we could see stuff in the background. He could have done the same sort of thing. One of the windows in the back, you could have been opened, and we could have seen the junkie guy drive off with the vehicle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could have done different stuff.
But I do like.
Or maybe there's a reason. Maybe a cop drove by and he freaked out.
No, he just wanted wanted to pawn it. That was the only thing I thought of it. Like I thought I knew he was going to be gone, even though I hadn't seen it in a while. I knew he was going to be gone because how else are you going to make some kind of drama and suspense during that minute?
He's got to know those guys are going to find him and beat the shit out of him.
Oh yeah, and thank God he did.
Well, he found him. That was a little coincidental, but yeah. But
L.A. is a big place.
Yeah,
but
I know.
He happened right to the place.
But they did fill time really well when he got out of prison. The whole walking out of prison and going into the van and everything like that was really well done. And then I liked how they left the prison and went to the other location and had the girl in there and Bruce Campbell and her hooking up there. But it also developed that they identified their relationship and stuff like that. So there was a lot of it well done in that time frame. It didn't seem like it was labored, but it also was moving the location from one spot to another.
And I like the irony of the fact that they got back together because the idiot best friend is the one who actually put them together on purpose. And then towards the end, he's like saying, "Oh, I don't want her there." Well, it's like, well, dude, she's only there because you brought her back.
I know,
in his
like
life.
if you didn't do this, she wouldn't have been. But I don't think he planned that they fall back in love.
No. But that's typical. He doesn't think more than just the immediate thing. He doesn't think 2 steps ahead. He
was thinking he was getting his buddy.
Right. He can only think about what's in front of him, and that's it. That's his character.
Because I bet at one point before he went to prison, he had thought about that girl Jenny, and he said something to his buddy. Then when the buddy found out that she was, that she was a hooker, he was like, "Perfect. Just buy her." She goes and hooks up with them, and then they because there was at one point he was like, "Jenny," and blah blah blah, and then he gives like the thumbs up, to the whole thing.
Well, he planned on her on them recognizing.
Oh yeah, he wanted that.
Well, reality is, I mean, it'd be kind of hard not to. At least from my mind. Now, some people might be different.
15
but
years.
You're gonna remember.
15 years, yeah.
You're gonna remember everybody that you've intimately been with, especially if they've had that much of a place in your life. I would think.
Plus, if you've been in prison all this time.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, you're probably. You're thinking about everybody probably.
My favorite part though is when, it looks like he's dumped her and she's upset, and we're all like waiting for the payoff. And then, or actually, it was before that, but the part with where he shows the book, and she thinks that it's saying, I'm sunny or it's sunny.
Yeah, it's a sunny day.
It's a sunny day. She's like, no, it says I'm sorry.
See, yeah. But I mean, once
That
again,
was great.
I was thinking, if she even saw that, which apparently I guess she did not, because it was apparently so tiny she couldn't even read it. Even if she saw that and saw it say, "I'm sorry, C," that doesn't necessarily mean Carl. Maybe how does she know that was Carl that came in and snuck in and wrote that?
She probably put two and two.
She
together.
became a hooker, so I don't know how many. I mean, I don't know how many C's there might have been if that's what she was.
I mean,
I don't
LA's a
think she
tough
was
place.
then when she was in high school, though.
LA's a tough place to be if you don't have a job.
Yeah, you gotta make some money somehow, and what I kind of had mentioned earlier was this kind of reminded me a little bit of True Romance, where it was different. It wasn't the same story, but the idea that a guy falls in love with a hooker and tries to change, tries to sort of get her out of that life.
Well, and in this case,
she was looking for a reason too.
It's a little bit more realistic because they had a previous relationship that they didn't get to finish.
Yeah, and it wasn't like this one night of having a fun night.
Right,
It was
right.
like they had a relationship. Unfortunately, he left her because she was being bitchy to him at one point because he didn't wear the condom. And stuff.
And she brings up some good points, too. What if I got pregnant? And he's like, oh.
Well, you didn't. And she was like, that's in hindsight,
Right.
sweetie.
That's a high school boy.
So clearly, they're high school kids. They don't talk about this stuff. They just did it.
And it's so funny because he really hasn't changed since high school.
Right.
He's still bickering with his friend about some shit that he
football.
did.
They were talking about football. He's like, you didn't hand off to me because you wanted to be with his sister or something like that.
Yeah.
Then they were like, did you end up scoring with
some
her?
15-year-old gripe that makes no difference to anything.
That was the 10 to 15 minutes of bickering that they had when the guy was trying to open the safe.
Yeah.
But I guess you guys were. I didn't think of this as this is he owed him one or whatever. But that was apparently he owed him one. And I'm like, really?
Well,
he owed
that's
him one
why
because
he went to prison.
because he didn't out him.
And
that's why
he
he went
didn't
to prison.
tell him.
Because he did say he went to prison and did not expose his friend.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where he owes him.
Yeah, so he really did legitimately owe him.
And I can get the dumb friend saying, okay, well, I got a perfect setup for when you get out of prison. Here's how I can make myself feel better by getting us both rich.
But it was really Campbell's idea wasn't it? Because Campbell heard all the stuff from he said he hatched it when he was folding the 10 million piece of laundry or something
Right,
like that.
but then it's his fault for trusting his dumbass friend who was
To
very
do all
first,
the things.
As soon as he said,
he outsourced it.
I didn't watch it or I didn't look. I paid somebody else to do it.
He outsourced the surveillance.
That was a punch in the face right there.
I was like, oh, you idiot.
So first of all, in order for this movie to work, as the 70-minute time frame and everything, he has to be let out on the same day that this whole heist stuff, all the laundry stuff is happening, right? So, okay, I buy that. But, like, literally, what you would normally do is if you just got out of prison, you wouldn't probably go right to doing your job. You know?
No, he did what most people probably do right out of prison, get with a lady or
somebody. Unless you're allowed conjugal
Get
visit.
some pizza, come on.
Get some pizza.
Yeah, something that you're not able to have on the outside. But you wouldn't go right to doing something that could put you back to prison, or whatever.
You could have if he alludes to not talking about certain things he had to experience when he was in prison. If some of that is related to the warden, he could be carrying some serious vengefulness in his heart for that, which would drive him into doing something that he normally wouldn't do, or the rest of us wouldn't normally do, because he can't wait to have his revenge on the guy.
And I think that
so you could have developed it that way.
With all the time that they had to be able to put extra dialogue and stuff in, I think this movie really lends itself to being able to fine-tune that. The reason why he had to do it right away, and the reason why they did a few things what they did, because some movies you have to sort of cut around. It doesn't have the time definitions, but this one had those time definitions, so you could explore that a little bit cleaner in the dialogue. And I think that the writing could have been a little bit tighter on that.
Yeah, I agree.
just to tighten it up. The idea itself and the overall execution was really good.
Oh yeah, and I love the choice of black and white. It got that whole
absolutely.
neo-noir vibe thing going on, and the music was really, really good. It really added to it. The editing, I mean, there were definitely cuts. We could pick them up, but they were done in such a way that it was very smooth. It was always done when something was either sped up or a shadow, or
It's like they
hid them.
It was like somebody walked into the camera and they reverse angled it back.
I
So-
know,
so
or they went
split.
into Bruce Campbell's penis. That was one shot,
Or the
and
girl's
then
chest.
and the girl's boobs. So we got dick and boob shots. You know,
So anyone who directs or edits is going to like this movie too, because it's just kind of a blueprint about how you do certain scenes.
And
it's
if they did,
very well done.
and if they did cuts on the continuous shots without those ones that we easily identified, then that was a hell of a job with the editing.
once again, I would definitely recommend the book Rushes, because that essay that it used to be online, right? You could just read it online. He took them down when he put them on the in the thing, because he wants people to buy the book, not get it off, whatever. But basically, that making of Running Time tells everything, how they did every
Nice.
aspect of it, from the writing, how he came up with the idea, how he
Did he
all the
edit
way-
it?
I think he partly edited, at least. I don't know if he fully edited the movie.
Because I wasn't sure if he edited his own movies or if he had somebody that he trusted to do that with, or if he just kind of went with whoever he happened to hire at that particular
well,
time.
he got Raymond Berthed and Kay Davis. Kay Davis I know of because she did Evil Dead 2.
Okay.
So, yeah, so...
Really? Wow.
Yeah, so she first worked on Crime Wave with Sam Raimi. So then she worked on Evil Dead 2. And I think, if I'm correct, Josh knew her. Then she went on to Lunatics: A Love Story. And I'm guessing she got brought in because Renaissance Films, which is Sam Raimi and Rob Tappert's company before whatever they have now, whatever their one is now, because I think they have a new company. But Renaissance Films was the ones who did the Evil Dead movies / Darkman.
All those movies are very well edited, so clearly she knows what she's doing.
She
That's
did
what I'm
that.
saying is, like, I mean, other than those reverse shots that we identified, if that was a hell of a job editing. On top of that, if they cut live action stuff like that, they did good.
Well done, well
Yeah.
done, Ken.
Yeah, and then Raymond Berthold, I don't know.
I think that was his only credit.
I guess that's his
if I'm
only
not-
credit. So, I guess he just worked with her. She probably, needed some help just making sure this, got cut exactly. So she was probably like the co-editor, but she's the one who's been doing stuff. I mean, she also edited If I Had a Hammer and Morning, Noon, and Night.
And here's the thing, this was 97, so it's not like today where editing is much easier to do digitally.
Well, yeah, I think they didn't even do it digitally back then. They had it, cut.
Right.
And this
so,
was shot on film, not digital.
Right. So this is a double sort of thumbs up because it was really, really well done.
Yeah, because, you have to... So one of the things I remember him saying in that article, that essay, is that basically when you do it, as we said, you have to go into somebody. So, like, if you watch Rope, anytime you go into, like, Jimmy Stewart's, like, back or whatever, and then you cut back and it's whatever, it's a shot like that. So... this being black and white, which was pretty neat. I'm wondering if that was, I forgot if that was like a specific reason, because it's just harder to tell mistakes, in black and white as opposed to color or whatever, or if it just looks like, I think it might have been just a style
Yeah, I think
choice.
it's a stylistic choice,
Yeah,
probably.
because it says Rope was a major influence, so stuff like that.
Yeah.
Trying to keep with that time period of stuff, and I think that's
Well, Rope was actually not in
Yeah.
black and white;
So
it was in color, and
it was
that
one of
I
the
think,
early color films.
yeah, I think the fact that
See, and if it were me, I would not be able to pass up a chance to sort of throw that out there and just, like when they had the 3 hostages, I would have had a character say something along, make sure you got rope, to tie them
Get
up.
some rope.
Yeah, couldn't pass it up.
yeah.
It'd be fun.
It's obviously a nod and everything, and everybody knows what you're doing,
Well, when you showed right when you introduced this film and stuff like that, you showed us the box and the cover, and I'm at odds with myself with this because it's like the cover does not do justice to this film.
Yeah.
I mean, the cover makes it look like a kind of now that's a better cover.
Oh yeah, that's a
two
great cover.
covers.
Yeah, I mean, because it seemed like it was the cover seemed like it was a '90s action film, just straight to video or
Yeah.
very, if any, theatrical play. It seemed like it made a little over 100,000 in the box office or whatever. So there's not much theatrical play. So, but when you told me about this, and we went into it looking at the cover, and then what you saw, I see something totally different than what I was even thinking about going into it. And it's great when that happens, but it's like I wonder if they've sort of hamstrung themselves by going this route of distribution instead of distributing it based off of what it really was. And because I mean, it's quality.
Mm-hmm.
The original running time DVD, I think, looked better. It looked more like the neo-noir
Okay.
styles and stuff.
Yeah, because you have the Blu-ray, which I liked how you had a reverse cover and the
Yeah,
reverse
it's
cover,
got a reversible cover, which I think Synapse does great with that.
Yeah.
You know,
It almost has a Grand Theft
And
Auto
it's
video
got,
game feel to it.
It's got commentary. You said.
Oh yeah, it's got. So let me read. I guess the back. It's got. It's an all new 2K scan and restoration of the original camera
looked good.
negative.
It looked good.
Presented for the first time on video with the original theatrical stereo mix. So, audio commentary with writer-director Josh Becker and starred Bruce Campbell. Run and Gun with Bruce Campbell, all new featurette interview, 22 minutes long.
Now that would have been cool. Run and Gun. That's a good title.
Run and Gun, yeah, that would have been.
I think I would have liked that.
That actually would have been a better. Sorry, Josh. I don't know. That would have been a great title too. Q&A. Maybe that could be the sequel. Run and Gun. You know.
I hope so. I like those characters.
Q&A footage with the from the Freaky Film Festival premiere at the University of Illinois. It doesn't say how long that is, and then theatrical trailer, and so it's only 70 minutes. So like you're not really, when you watch this movie, you're not really putting a lot of time. You know, you're not investing this is not 3 hours. If this were 3 hours, I'd probably kill myself. No offense, but it just would have gone way too long.
Oh, with the idea, it can't. Those usually can't be long because there's time that has to pass for different things to happen in the story, especially in this case. And I couldn't. It was really starting to weight down that scene with
There would have been way too much extra bickering.
Yeah, that bickering stuff. That could have been toned down, but I mean, at the expense of what? It wasn't bad. It was just kind of long. Yeah, I saw the cover on the IMDb and Amazon. That's kind of interesting.
Amazon. I think that is a better cover, honestly. I kind of would have preferred that DVD cover. I don't know if they could have done that because it wasn't the same company, and I don't know if they could have gotten the rights to that. But Synapse put it out, so they put out their own covers, or whatever.
But this reverse side is good. I mean, I would prefer the reverse side and be in black and white.
Right.
Now, why does the guard freak out and try to run away?
I think.
I didn't quite buy that either.
I don't know if I'm sitting in a room in his situation with what he's supposed to be a security guard.
He's an old guy too.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not like he was a major police SWAT guy anymore.
What's he gonna do?
But if I heard the two of them bickering and them waving a gun around and stuff like that at each other and very starting to out each other's names and their whole stories and stuff like that, he just eventually was probably like, I'm screwed. I'm going to get shot. Somebody's they're just going to open fire because they know who we are now. We know who they are. So he probably just lost it. Moments of stuff like that, you can't really know what they're going to do.
I kind of would agree. I'm not sure though. I'm confused because all of a sudden it happens. It didn't seem like it was.
And maybe they could have shown him like agitated or getting a little more nervous or something like that.
Yeah, they could have previewed that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Kind of comes out of nowhere because it's a very, 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 very bad decision. I could see the dumb guy doing something like that, or I was thinking, Mr. Whatever from Reservoir Dogs, because he's got that streak of being, likes to torture people.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Mr. Blonde.
Mr. Blonde, but none of that is shown in that.
No.
And then the other guy just has a heart attack.
That's just dumb. He's not like a bad guy. Like he only shot him because to stop him from going, which even Bruce's characters, Carl says, "Why did you do that? You could have just grabbed him. Like he's not, he's old. You could have just came out. You didn't need to shoot him, And that's true. He did not need to shoot him. I think he did it out of fear, at that time, not being
especially
able to
because you just went from a 20-year, 15 to 20-year sentence to, electric chair or life if you're lucky.
Depending on what California's laws are necessarily back in '97.
But the reality is the Bruce and the other guy Buzz they weren't the best criminals, if you will, the most fine-tuned criminals. I mean, Bruce sort of had a little bit more because he had the stuff in prison and stuff like that. He held out, didn't release his friend's name and all that stuff.
And and also Carl trusted his friend. Carl trusted his friend that he was with the 2 bags of money.
Yeah.
Like he could have, that dude could have said, "Nah, never mind. I'm."
Yes. For 25,000 versus 250, I guess that's what it was really starting to unravel. But
Yeah.
But I think the thing is the things that we're critiquing here, it's critiquing to make it even better, not that it wasn't really good to begin with. Because there's a lot of movies that we talk about, and it's like, we're critiquing the core of the film as being a problem. That's not the issue here. This movie was good. So, looking at the cast, I see something, a handful of people playing fake Shemp. There's like a number of them. There's 1, 2, like 5 or 6 people or more.
There's always a fake Shemp.
Yeah, I mean, now I love the Stooges, so I mean, I imagine, but anyways, what is that?
Back in the Evil Dead, or maybe even before Evil Dead, when they did the Detroit Mafia, which is what they called the the film crew that Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell and Josh Becker and all of them were a part of, they did a thing called like fake shimping, and they would do things where they basically were either extras or they were like stand-ins. And the fake shimp idea was that the Stooges would have somebody stand in for Shemp when Shemp wasn't around. Or
and usually they looked pretty obvious that it was not Shemp.
Oh. Yeah, and that kind of thing. So that was the idea, is that like people would come in, I think, and stand in and do that stuff. So I think that's really what those were either they were extras or they were people who,
It's great because when they talked about it, it sort of became a thing. So other people talk about fake Shemps too.
Yeah, I mean...
They're basically extras.
Yeah,
but
sort
obvious
of.
extras.
Well, this one here says fake Shemp / Janie's neighbor. So either they played 2 characters or that was...
No, sometimes they played 2 different characters or whatever.
Right.
They will fill in for, like... I bet, like, if Kevin Smith was a big Three Stooges guy, he would have put fake Shemp for a bunch of the actors who were that doubled as roles or whatever, because that's,
Like if they went back to have to shoot the one scene where the 3 hostages were on the couch, but they didn't have the female lead actress, they would have shot it in such a way that they could have put anybody in there as long as there was somebody there, but the angle didn't show them their face.
Yes.
That would be a fake Shemp.
So it's like a seat filler or a stand-in double.
Stand-ins, more stand-in double kind of thing. So
now that you're talking about this, I think in some commentary or something like that, they might have talked about something like that, but I never heard of it as that term. So that's kind of interesting.
No,
and, I mean, and Shemp being the I don't say the forgotten. Well, he's not the forgotten Stooge. He's the one that gets ridiculed most. I mean, Curly Joe's probably the forgotten one, but
who?
And
Curly Joe.
He's the one that came last.
Curly, isn't
Curly Joe, not Curly.
Yeah.
There's a Curly Joe.
He came last.
Yeah.
Everyone hates him. He's awful.
God.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Blunt, straight to the point. Not saying
Curly
It's the
Joe.
way it is.
Not saying that that's not true.
I don't know.
But I mean,
But the thing is some people have fun with the fake Shemps where they make them extremely obvious
Oh.
and have a little fun with it.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
I think I'm gonna look it up, but I think there were fake shimps as well in Thou Shalt Not Kill Except, and we just never saw that
Okay.
as the thing. Yeah.
So I've heard of this sort of thing as other stuff.
Well,
This
and
is
I
what's
always
called
thought that would
Okay,
be a
interesting.
great name or great title for a film.
Fake shimp.
You know, the fake shimp. You know,
I mean, I guess it would work.
Wow.
especially if you talk about a guy who's trying to figure himself out and doesn't really know yet, and he evolves from a fake shimp to a real shimp. You know, that'd be fun.
It's not listed on IMDb as that.
Well, I'm
but
sure it's
maybe.
probably like in the Urban Dictionary, one of the dictionaries.
They're gonna hear that one, aren't they?
But they're definitely
Bada
gonna hear
bing.
Fake shimp did it.
Fake
that. Big
shimp.
Shimp did it,
That's
or
right.
Curly Joe did it, because apparently everybody hates him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just
Well, we have dozens of fake shimps here on the podcast, just you can't see because it's a podcast. Right?
Sure.
Right, fake shimp? That's correct.
you do some of that physical humor, the two pokes in the eyes, and whoop whoop whoop.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
that stuff.
Well, hey, they love that in the Detroit Mafia, that's for sure.
That's. I mean,
Well, they did.
I love that type of humor, anyways.
Oh, yeah.
The back there with the Stooges and
Big Stooges
yeah.
fans.
I was not a big fan of the Stooges
Oh.
growing up.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't like black and white movies at that time.
Oh, for
when I was
goodness
a kid.
sakes.
I didn't. I'm a millennial. I liked my movies color. That's where I grew up
They
on.
didn't have it.
So when
Well, I know I had it. So I and then so it wasn't until later in life that I became a black and white lover. Like, this film looks beautiful in black and white. Would I want it in color? Fuck no. I want this in black and
no,
white.
no, this movie should not be in color.
No.
I mean, it would look. I'm not going to say it would look like a dime a dozen film because that wouldn't be right to say, but it would lose a
It
lot.
would sort of look. I think it would have looked
it would have looked just.
It would not have stood out.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying at the very beginning of this whole discussion that it should have been a more. The selling of it should have probably been a little bit better on with a different type of cover and the artwork, like the poster.
Should have taken advantage of the cinematography, which
Yeah.
looked really, really
Yeah.
good in black and white.
Well, they should have made it look more like a heist film. Like it and that cover just looked like Bruce Campbell, and it's all about Bruce Campbell. And that was the problem. Is like
Well,
this
he's
isn't.
the star, though.
He is the star.
He's in every scene basically,
Pretty much.
except for at the end when Janie gets.
When Janie
has her
thinks
moment.
that he's left.
And his presence is there, though, because you're like feeling it. Like any second now, he's going to walk in.
Well,
right?
it was
right?
like you knew
right?
somebody.
We're kind of hoping.
Somebody was coming in because
Somebody was going to have to come in because
They couldn't end it
because
without her.
otherwise you would have had to have a scene where the camera walked out of the place, which the door was shut, by the way. 'cause
Right.
It wasn't
so we
shut originally.
knew
Somebody was gonna walk
somebody
in.
had to come in.
Yeah.
or was already in there.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
I thought they might tie something.
Calls
back
are
with the
coming
warden.
from inside the
Yeah.
house.
I thought there might have been something that they could have. The warden could have. There could have been something that angle could have gone, or Campbell could have already been in there.
Could have been inside the house, you know. And I thought that was going to be the case, but then when she starts crying with her stuffy and everything, and you feel
Aw.
terrible.
So I lay down in
and-
bed and I'm like, okay, how are they going to? Where something's got to happen here really quick because otherwise.
And
it's
they
just
did. And Bruce Campbell shows up and says, "Oh man, they had him drop me off so that around or whatever, so that."
And you said
I
he
brought
got,
donuts.
and you said he got over his flesh wound.
Yeah, he got over his flesh wound pretty quickly. And then she kind of is like the whore with the heart of gold kind of trope because
Or with
she's still, at that point, 15 years later, has room in her heart for this guy. Usually women who have to go through that kind of sex work, they generally don't retain that sense of sunny optimism.
Yeah.
And,
And
it's usually ground out of them. I
Well,
hate to say it.
If you really want to look at this really critically, she really evolved in an hour.
Yeah.
10
She did.
minutes.
She did.
from just not knowing of him or not knowing that he was even anywhere around in her life to ready to run off with him in an hour.
Yep.
A little over an hour. So I mean, we could get very critical on some elements, but taking it at face value. For
But you
this
know
film-
what? I'm okay with it because I liked the characters.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
a big difference when I like the characters and I'm okay to forgive certain little things. Whereas if I hate the characters, every single little thing stands out and makes me angry, makes me want to pick at the movie.
Build up the goodwill.
Yeah, this movie had a lot of goodwill attached to it. And like I said, that's why at the end, you're like kind of like wanting more. It's like, well, what happened to these guys? I want to see them succeed, or at least succeed to a certain point. Now they have to get back together in order to do something.
Well, they're going to have some people after them.
Maybe they had a kid,
Yeah, well,
and then the kids in them with them as well.
Well, the warden and his henchmen were going to be after them, so I mean that went kind of unresolved at the end. So it's
sadly,
like
Art LaFleur will not be making.
Yeah. I gotta figure if they ever did something else, it would be something different, a new heist, because I'm sure that would have faded in time. But
especially with like less than $250K. I mean,
yeah.
It wasn't that big of a heist.
Yeah.
I could see them having like a daughter, like a 20-year-old daughter, who has, his shiftiness and desire for a heist, but also her beauty and her knowledge of being able to use her beauty and manipulate people, and that she's kind of like become the morphed together the two characters into one, and sort of the best and shiftiest of the two of them. I could see that. It would be very interesting.
But I have a problem with sequels that and I've written ideas for sequels that have the daughters and stuff, and now I'm just like kind of sick of it, because or a son, or whatever, because we get a lot of sequels, usually Hollywood, obviously, that have the that bring in the son or the daughter. Now they're the ones, because it's been like 20 or 30 years later, so the kid is now old enough to to be like running the company. Like, say if they did like Billy Madison too and called her Billie, Madison, or whatever, and then just had her act like Adam Sandler, like I think it would be sort of,
that's the part. As soon as you say you act like Adam Sandler.
Well, then but you're saying they've got the tropes of both of those characters, and I don't.
Right.
I would like to see if it were that character, it'd be completely different than them.
Well, that's just it. If they were together, then that would form a third unique character.
But that one that's nothing like them. Maybe she's hotheaded. Maybe she's more like the.
Maybe you could definitely do things to differentiate them. But the thing is that it's open. It's an interesting idea, and the characters are likable enough that you care about what might happen to them.
Right.
Yeah. So this would. I know we've talked a little bit, touched on like Rope and different ones like that. What's some other movies that you remember, like these single shot takes? I think we talked either
1915 or
1917. I was thinking that first scene in The Player, too.
Yeah.
Remember that? The first 8-9 minutes or something like that.
Which was a nod to Touch of Evil.
Yeah.
Which,
Touch of Evil has that. And then, of course, the Goodfellas scene where they go into the club, and that's a long
Halloween's
shot.
opening.
Halloween's opening.
Yeah. I think they do that in Boogie Nights with the introduction of Burt Reynolds a little bit, where he goes in through the restaurant.
Oh, in a violent
that violent nature.
Violent nature movie. That was all supposed to be, kind of a continuous thing or whatever. I hated it.
That was also a perspective film.
It also was one of the most boring fucking things I've ever seen in my life. So
I didn't.
Jeez, Curly Joe, that movie. Why don't you?
Yeah. I did Curly Joe it.
I did.
That's a thing from now on. We're gonna Curly Joe some shit.
Yeah.
Well, in that movie, I didn't hate that movie with the passion that a lot of people do, but I'm not one that's going to sit and defend it.
I never saw it. I heard a lot of mixed stuff about it.
Steve Rosinski loved it. Said he wished I had seen it in the theater because the atmosphere and stuff like that.
That's the one thing atmosphere, and I saw it on a big screen at the AMC. So I got to see it. A small independent. I don't know how small a film it was, but. A film like that on a big screen was kind of cool. So the novelty of what was going on in there kind of wore off kind of quick. And that's something that this movie here is very tricky to do, because the novelty can wear off, and if it wears off, it can become very aggravating.
Some movies do look. You really do need to see them on the big screen to get the full impact. Longlegs was a perfect example. Yeah. It's a good movie, but seeing it on the big screen. Yeah. Boy, that added a whole other element.
When you watched it, you told me, like, you need to see this on the big screen.
And that's why when I saw it in Violent Nature, I saw it on a big screen, and there was probably 75 or so other people in there. So the atmosphere, the environment of it made it something different. Now, watching it at home, it probably... And that did the novelty wore
and
off.
For a certain extent, I would say the same thing goes for Nosferatu. I think seeing that in the big theater, on the big screen, helped.
Yes.
You know, it was shot that in a way that it
Very
had
cinematic.
scope.
Yeah, very cinematic feel, and it very much felt like it was like we were transported back to 1830,
Right.
1840s.
It's very difficult for Josh Becker at that level of that sort of
because
price range.
Nosferatu had a Hollywood, some
Yeah.
form of Hollywood budget,
Or
and support system behind
even
it.
in a
This
violent
didn't.
nature, probably had millions of dollars at least, you know,
But
because
there
they could get in
are-
the theaters and things like that.
There are scenes where he takes advantage of it, and that scene where they're in the tunnel and he spins the camera.
Yeah.
That was really well done.
And that doesn't take massive budget. That just that takes some creativity and a little bit of work on the part of whoever the Steadicam, the cinematographer.
And the depth of focus didn't change. It didn't get blurry. It was really well done.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing.
I think that's the thing, the difference between indie films like this, you know, and Hollywood films, is Hollywood, to solve the problem, they just throw money at it. When you don't have money and you have this low budget, you have to be creative and you have to think outside the box.
Well, part of it too, I think, is because, and this is my opinion, you may not agree, but a lot of Hollywood movies required to have directing, like shooting scripts as well, where they break down every single goddamn scene into the different angles and everything, and you know, they get super, super technical about it. The independent movies don't have that luxury.
Well,
they don't have the time. They can't do that.
I think we have an idea on what you're going to shoot, but it's like you have a little bit more leeway.
Well,
It's like, let's go a little bit more this way.
Robert Shepard said that when he shot for Lincoln, which is Steven Spielberg movie with Daniel Day-Lewis, he had a scene with Daniel Day-Lewis and Sally Field where he went to
That's awesome.
to pronounce Lincoln dead. You know,
I pronounce Lincoln dead.
Yeah, I mean, I think
He's been Curly Joe'd.
Yeah, but he comes in and he says, you know, he does his part, does his lines, you know. Then Steven Spielberg says, you know, just dial it back. He has 4 cameras on him at that moment, right? Like 4 different, for all different angles or whatever.
Right.
For just one tiny scene that they're probably only going to use one of the angles and stuff like that. But you're right. They will do that. So they'll set up all these different you know, things like that just in case we need to get it from a different angle, from a different whatever. We don't have time for that in independent films. You get what you shoot, right? So you shoot this, you shoot that. And when you're doing a film too, it's even worse because you don't know what you shot. Exactly. Or you don't know if maybe when you go to edit it, you know, you lost something or whatever, like, you know, or there was a dot on something.
Yeah, the hair on the.
I did love that when the bloodshot came out, it hit the camera. Then when we got like a close up, whatever, we get away from it, that it's off. So we're like, we knew that was one of the cuts.
As soon as it happened and it hit the screen, I was like, okay, there's got to be something happen
cut.
quick here,
Yeah,
because I know they're not going to leave that on the
It's
screen.
definitely
for
a
long.
fun way to hide the transition.
Yeah, but that was awesome because they left that on there because why not, right? Because we're not being taken out of the movie because we're already sort of out of the movie because we're all like going, okay, that's when that cut, that's where that cut, that's where, you know what I mean? It was fun for us, you know, to do that. You know, it wasn't maybe that wasn't his intention necessarily, but that was.
Well, the general audience probably wouldn't care about that, but us, at least being tangentially in the business, we kind of know and expect certain things.
Yeah, the people that generally watch the films are used to the Hollywood system and the Hollywood structure of film watching and stuff like that, where they're expecting the shots to be at A, B, C, pull out, you know, a very systematic flow. And when you do a film like this, to where it's good, the camera's jerking each smoothly, but it's moving around and it's not establishing rooms in the conventional way. Mm-hmm. So this is a whole different type of film to watch. So a lot of people probably would get turned off from that.
I loved it though. I had such a great time with it.
And to those people, go watch Hollywood 1, 2, 3 again, I guess, because that's.
Yeah, if you don't want to watch, I mean, this isn't for everybody's taste, but this is an indie movie.
Yeah,
right, this is Indie Film Cafe kind of movie.
This forum perfectly.
All right, so we are at that time again, folks. We are at the time where we do the stinkometer. Now, the stinkometer scale is a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being very, very good, and 10 being very, very bad and stinky. However, just because it's bad and stinky does not mean it's not a fun movie. It might very well be a fun movie, even if it's stinky. We like our stinky movies here at Indie Film Cafe.
We
So
love 'em.
don't ever think that if we say something stinky, we're saying it's like a terrible movie, you shouldn't watch it. You should definitely go watch everything that we've put out just in case.
Except for Hip Hop Locos. You can pass that one.
I knew that was coming.
You can go ahead and pass that
You
one.
know what? We had to suffer through it, so you.
Yeah, that's right.
I was
suffer
getting
through
ready
it
to
too.
tell you. I was getting ready to say even Hip Hop Locos, which
No.
I haven't seen, and you guys are. I know you like to inflict pain on some people, and you're even telling me to stay
That's
away from
right.
it.
You came in after we were done with it, I believe. You lucky son of a bitch.
That's the.
Oh,
you
wait,
bring
did
up
you
a good.
watch some of it?
No, I didn't.
You
No.
brought up a good point though. We had to suffer through it, so you guys should go watch it too.
No, I think I was driving by the studio that day and I saw a set in the air of just pure stink, and I just drove the other way.
You
was like, "I'll
detected a
wait."
disturbance in the force.
He's like, I'll wait.
A billion people crying out
You
in pain.
came after.
That
because
was us.
We did East Side that
That was
day.
specifically just Jen going, "Oh my
A
god!"
billion voices screamed and then sudden silence.
She didn't even finish the movie.
Right, that's the sudden silence.
Yeah, she didn't finish the movie. She just walked out and she was like, I'm done.
funny.
Man, reminiscing about season 7.
Yep.
That was a crazy year.
It's fun.
But this one, I mean, so far, this is in June that this will be out. So, for this one, so
June bug.
yeah. All right, so let's all go around. I'm gonna start with Paul.
All right. There are some nitpicky issues I have with it. I think I discussed that before. One of the things we did not mention, which I want to point out quickly, is the fact that it was a brief movie, and it was very wisely done that it was brief. It was an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, an hour and 10 minutes.
I think that was very, very wise because extending it would have meant more bickering, and it would have just you know.
It could have been 3 or 4 minutes shorter.
No, I don't think so. I
That
think it was,
bickering scene, maybe.
Oh yeah, maybe that bickering scene.
But I think they should have done it a little different. I think they should have panned out.
But there was some, you know, the tautness of it worked really well. And I don't even know about shorting it. Just I would have changed just some of the
exactly.
dialogue to
Like I was
something
saying
else.
earlier, pull the camera out and go over to the car
Right.
where the druggie was.
But the length itself was good, and the pacing was really
yeah.
good. I would probably go ahead and give it a 2. Very, very well done. Other than a few little minor issues, yeah, very, very well done. And I think that was probably better than Lunatic's A Love Story.
Well, what about you?
I don't know if I've ever given anything this low. Maybe I have. I'd have to.
Gamebox 1.0 might have gotten.
Wonton, you love that one.
That's one that had the stench in the air. When I was in here, I couldn't escape that one.
That's the one he uses as an example.
And it's not even
of,
for this
like-
one, was it?
Michael Ritchie, baby.
Wasn't that for What the F Fridays? Or
No, that was for Indie Film Cafe.
That was Indie Film Cafe.
Oh, it was okay. It blurred my mind so badly. I'm lost as I'm no longer Joe in that. I'm Curly Joe in that one.
You were fake shepping that one because that was one we had for just Jen.
Yeah, so it's so no, there's nowhere near it. Gamebox 1.0 was or 2.0. That was my lowest.
Gamebox 1.0, you gave it a 2.5.
Oh well, this is going to be even lower than that or higher, depending on which way you go with that. Looking at the numbers, I'm going to go 1.5.
1.5.
And I'm only doing that because I wish they could have done a couple things like I talked about earlier, and I think some of the marketing on this, I think it could have, and I don't know who was involved in that. Now it's unfortunate because I think they really had, I think they really have a prize here that could be very well received if it's marketed correctly and enough people can have the opportunity to see it. Unfortunately, I wasn't even aware of the film. And
Yeah.
I mean, if I would have known of this film, if I would have scrolled across and saw a black and white thing on the streaming, because I saw it streaming, it would have caught my attention. Bruce Campbell. And
Oh yeah,
stuff.
I would have liked to have seen it back in '97.
Yeah,
Let's put it that
exactly.
way.
But the Blu-ray cover just kind of turned me away a little bit. But that's superficial because what the reality is the film itself was good. It's not even a not stinky film. It's a good film.
Mm-hmm.
So 1.5.
And by the way, Bruce Campbell, great job.
Yes.
Really, really well done.
We're not just saying that because we want to work with you.
No, we're saying it because it's true.
Well, that'd be great, but that'd be
I
great.
mean, that
too.
would be a plus. I
Yeah,
wouldn't lie.
I mean, I would love to. And I guess he did this about the time that Spider-Man was been somewhere in that vicinity.
He doesn't
You
work
have
with the
tied with
friendships.
another movie on this
Oh, I have done
on your
another
score,
1.5?
a 1.5, which was Better Place. He gave a 1.5 to that.
That was good. That was
so
good. That was Vincent's film. Nerd.
Paul needs to make it up because he gave a 4.5.
Which isn't even. Yeah. That's not even average.
That's not
better
bad.
Than average.
That's not bad. But he took offense to that.
So that was. What's he always say?
I give that a 2, and I'm also going to give this one a 2. So we're this one got a little lower of a score, but you get a 1.5. I give it a 2. You gave it what is it?
2.5. Oh, you gave it 2.
You gave it 2 as well. So 4 plus it's 5.5. Yeah. That's actually very low.
So that's close to like Blue Ruin and some of the other ones.
Yeah,
that were low.
I'm gonna have to look up what we gave Blue Ruin on here, but
I don't know if we showed you that one or not.
I don't.
It's pretty good.
It's really
Jason Cook got it, and he was
right.
lucky for that.
Yeah, I don't think I.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
We try not to
it's on.
chase off
It might be on.
Jason Cook. Because he gets to drive all the way down here. It's like I would break my heart to have to give him like a hip hop locos.
Oh no! Don't ever give him something like that.
So
he's coming on.
So the thing
nice.
is, on my behalf, I've seen something that's like really good here. So I have a feeling that I'm going to be due to have a El Stinko Maximus one coming.
Well, we just did The Family with you, which wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good.
Yeah, that had some problems.
Blue Ruin got a 4, so that's low. Yeah, that was.
This is close.
Yeah, you gave it a 1. Jason Cook gave it 1.5, and Jolene gave it a 1.5. So I gave it a 1, but mine wasn't counted because they had those two guys there.
So that's probably the record. Probably.
Right now, yes, that would be the record because
you don't have any threes.
Yeah.
3
No,
points.
we have.
This is pretty close though.
The last one was a 5. The first one was a 5. That was Drunken Wu-Tang.
Oh, that was so much fun.
It was fun, but that was a bad movie. But it was fun. I don't know
if it was a bad movie. It's just a crazy movie.
I just think it's funny. It's like you guys like.
Wait, there you got a 6 actually.
You guys
this. So this got lower than all those, and Blue Ruin got lower, I think, because Blue Ruin got a 4. So 4 and a 5.5.
It's just funny because I'm more critical on a lot of them than you guys. This is the one that I give the better score to. Mm. I mean, it's.
Yeah, I was looking at the season.
I don't know what I was feeling that exact day exactly for a better place, but I put those two on. They're totally different films, but I mean,
and then
both very enjoyable films.
Gamebox 1.0 got a 6.
That was really good too.
That was very close. So,
but and that was a third film in a whole different direction because that had like they had some special effects different type of looks to that one.
We tend to give Joe some pretty good ones right now, because but then we also give him some stinky ones, like whatever. What did we give?
I think in some place they have a list of like, okay, Joe, this, and this. So let's see if I can find a movie that crosses 3 of those 5 thresholds.
Just in case we were going to have extra people who we had to entertain, I did bring Fungicide along because that's a movie I love to inflict on people who've never seen it.
Yeah, but we already reviewed it, so it wouldn't be a review. It would be
no.
That just sounds like something that'd be like. It probably sounds like it comes like with something growing on the case or something.
It's little mushroom puppets. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
You say that with such glee.
It is. It's wonderful. It's just the best movie Dave Wascovich ever did, in my opinion.
Oh my!
It's a lot of fun.
Now the Janitor got a
10.
15.5, so that was surprising.
Janitor.
A little bit. The Janitor, you didn't like that one.
Why? How much? I gave that.
I think you're the one who made it show up.
Yeah, because I was in the 9-ish.
Yeah, because I think me and Paul loved it.
You guys are all like 3.5.
Yeah,
9.
Like that, yeah. And then
that happens sometimes.
Different strokes for different folks.
What was the?
I curly Joe'd that one.
Good God. I'm trying to look this up and try to find.
It's a new phrase on Indie Film Cafe.
Fungicide got a 28.
Yeah.
So somebody took 2 points off of that somehow between you guys.
It's fun though. It is a ball of fun.
Why do I think at least one of those points came from you taking it off? You wouldn't give it a 10. You probably gave it
what?
Anyways.
Did you do Alien vs. Hunter with me and John Ward?
That sounds familiar. I think we watched that like simultaneously.
Yeah, we watched that
during COVID or something.
Yeah, during COVID. It was one of the first. It was one of the first Zoom ones we did.
I think we zoomed while we were watching it. like, so we were commenting on it throughout it.
Wonton Ton got 22.5, so.
Well, 8 or 9 of that was me, at least, if not.
And so did Corn Man, which you've never
Corn
seen.
Man.
I've never
Corn
heard it.
Man.
I'm not familiar with that
The
one.
American vegetable hero. All right.
And Butterboy,
With Butterboy, yeah.
his sidekick.
I like that Paul puts his in red, probably to show blood, 'cause
Well,
always-
to show the difference.
Yeah.
And of course, that's not updated because we haven't updated our website in
yeah,
quite a while.
I need to do that. I know I know you were maybe going to do it, but I'll get it done.
But
Please.
in total, this got its score because it was fun and good, not just fun for the sake of being like some of these other ones you're talking
Yeah,
about.
it had some nice comedy. It had
Yeah.
some drama. It had some little bit of thrills. It was good. I liked it.
It was enjoyable.
And
Had
it's
noir
something
to it.
that needs to have a larger audience. And
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's 27 years old. It needs to almost 30 years old. It needs to be seen by people that just enjoy films.
Well,
I'm going to pick it up on Blu-ray.
The reason I picked it, honestly, was because I knew that Joe might be here. Joe's here. I wanted to show him something a little better. I had two in mind.
Because we
I chose
appreciate
this
you,
one.
Joe. We appreciate you.
Well, because
Yeah, you guys want to keep me around for a second film, probably.
I
so
know.
along
If
the
we
way.
keep
Well, who else
you-
is going to take the bullet for us and run and fall and break his arms? Break
Yes.
all of his arms and legs.
He's not
for
allowed
us?
to run in our movies anymore.
Yeah,
Not without elbow pads.
my biopic's going to have Curly Joe as a stuntman.
There you go.
There you go.
Big
Curly
shot.
Joe. That's your character's name in the movie. In your movie about you.
As a stuntman, Curly Joe.
Yeah, that's right. When you come on the podcast, you'll have to give that wig that you had with the curls. You could be Curly Joe.
No, because everybody hates him. I don't want to be Curly Joe.
Well, you're gonna take. You're taking back Curly Joe, man.
I'm taking it back.
Yeah.
Taking back Porch Monkey.
All right, everybody. On that note, we appreciate you guys. And,
we just got beeped on that one.
June. So this is June that this will be out. So wow, man, we've already recorded a whole bunch. Like we recorded half a year's worth, and it's not even the new year yet. It's about to be. So we really appreciate you guys sticking out and coming on board and listening to us jibber jab about whatever craziness that's going on and everything. And thank you, Joe, once again. I picked this for that because you were coming out, and also because it's an independent film that I was pretty sure, because we had done Thou Shalt Not Kill, except I was like, oh well, we'll just keep doing a couple Josh Beckers until there's nothing left.
I still would have never believed that. I mean, it's just from what I remember of that one and this one, it's just. I mean,
Well,
there's
remember,
talent
it was
there.
his first film.
Yeah,
so,
that's talent too because it's showing
growth.
to do that and to grow into this. So,
Yeah, I mean,
this is not an easy film to make. I mean, it doesn't. there's
So
something
well
to
done.
to it.
Well
Yeah.
done, Josh.
yes. I hope that somehow or another I can get if I had a hammer, but I don't know if it's on YouTube or anything like that. But like, that's a really good one too. And I know Paul hates musicals, but it's not your standard style musical. It's a musical about folk music and stuff and everything, and it's got a little bit of history.
Nothing
in
wrong
it.
with people just running around. They break it off into song.
Maybe you can get him on our spotlight show. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to him some more. I haven't talked to him in forever, and it's and I had to do it through his website, so I guess I'd have to go. He doesn't have like a thing. You have to ask the director or something. I don't know. So I can find his email. I will, or if he listens to this and says, "Hey, I want to be on your show," that would be great.
Call up the fake shop. He'll connect us.
Yeah, but we'd love to have him to talk to him because he's done a lot of films that we've already reviewed 3 of his. So I'm pretty sure we'll review all of them at some point. And, I know I want to do Morning, Noon, and Night because I want to watch that. And then, Warpath looks fun.
Just like Charles E. Cullen and Neil
don't compare it
Breen and some of the other folks we like to. Dave Wascovich, all these
J.R.
guys.
Bookwalter.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, God, we'd have a lot.
We've already had a lot so far, my plan was to do all of them, and Paul has certain ones. Like, I will never do a Neil Breen movie because that's Paul's. I did one Donald G. Jackson movie by mistake. I did not realize it was Donald G. Jackson. That was The Pocket Ninjas. But it was one that Paul probably wasn't going to do.
No, it was on my list.
You were on your list? Okay.
Why didn't you know it was him? Didn't you know before going
Well,
into it who
because
directed
he started off directing it and then got fired.
Yeah.
And somebody
so
else
somebody
came in.
else's name is on the credit. So I thought it was somebody else, but it looked really stupid. And I remember seeing a picture of it on Paul's
It's really
Paul's
stupid.
stuff. So I was like, that looks like something that would be fun. And then we did it. Paul's happy doing it.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
So he
whatever.
got Curly Joe'd off Pocket Ninjas.
But most of the other ones I let Paul do because Donald G. Jackson is one of his favorite directors. The guy who did Rat Finka Boo Boo, if you ever do that movie,
yeah.
another one of his, which we
Ray
haven't,
Dennis Steckler.
we haven't done any other ones.
I know, I know.
And that's weird. He's one of your favorites
Yeah,
too.
well, we'll do it. We'll definitely do
He's
it.
got so many. And then the dude gets
The
mad when I
list
do
is
pick
so
something.
long.
He does get mad when I pick something that he...
Coming up in season 48.
Pretty much.
Indie Film Cafe.
I'm just like, you got so many. If I do some, we're still doing them. It's just my voice in the beginning, but we're still doing them. So,
Good
Paul's-
enough.
But, we still haven't done Axum. We're going to do Axum this
Oh yeah,
season.
we still fought over Axel.
I fought and I won over that one. And but Paul has time
Ready to go. The VCR one's right there. It's
The
right
DVD
there.
one is right there. That's
All right,
I'm not using
all right.
that VCR, man. I'm not hooking that
I
shit
think
up.
that's the one that I saw on. I've seen that one.
Gotta have it, and it's VHS
We're not gonna do you
glory.
because you already told me that you wouldn't give it a bad stink score because you didn't think it was that stinky. So,
Really?
Yeah.
No,
my God.
no, it was bad. It just I've already seen it, so it wouldn't be any. I mean,
Yeah, it's bad.
yeah, it's bad. I mean, it's
We also need to show somebody amazing.
Yeah, we
Bulk.
need. Yeah.
I've been tortured once. I'm not going to do it again. And so you want to torture somebody?
Okay, we'll torture somebody new with that one.
I say that because I say torture, but I mean it's relative.
It's torture.
Well, it's torture. Well,
to one
hip hop
person,
locos.
to one
torture.
person's
No, it's
the
not
one
that
person's
bad.
Curly Joe. The next person it's
Paul Shemp.
it's Mo.
Yep. All right, everybody. Well, thank you guys so much. We got another video to do. This is New Year's Eve. So, by the way, we didn't even mention that. This is New Year's Eve, so we are trying to get a couple videos.
So who knows what the world's going to be like in 6 months?
I don't know. Yeah. I hope we still have this going in 6 months.
This is the end. No.
No, I'm gonna save this shit. So then, if I have to put it on another platform, I will. But who knows these days? Or if there will even be a world in 6 months. Who knows? So we'll find out.
Hopefully, it doesn't get Curly Joe'd.
Larry.
Well, there's already a president who's curly Joe'd, so. All right, everybody. That's it. That's my political opinion right now.
No problem.
We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one, and we'll see you on the
Flip side.
bye-bye. Hey, Paul, say something.
Something.
All right. Might have to turn the microphone up. Where's the...
Joe, did you bring snacks to a party that's full of snacks?
I wasn't sure if you did or not.
Oh my God! You know we go overboard.
I got two cheese wedges. That's it. I didn't bring any cookies, popcorn, none of the other stuff.